A lot of divisive issues in our country today. The question is, how do we come together? My name is Eric. This is above my pay grade. Let's get in. Well, for hundreds of years, we've been a country that has rule of law, not men. And what that allows for is people who disagree to come together and figure it out in a hopefully non-biased way. The law is not supposed to be biased, it's supposed to be blind. That's why you have that lady who's blindfolded in front of courtrooms with the weights of justice or whatnot. But I wonder if some of these economic policies, I wonder if there is evil motivation. You got to wonder. Here's a couple examples I was just thinking about today. This one is not an economic policy, but you probably have all heard Roe v. Wade is probably overturned. But the huge part, although that is huge, is the fact that it was leaked. And this is kind of like foundational to democracy and working with people that disagree with you. We need to agree on some basic rules. And if people start playing dirty and we just keep hitting the ball back and forth, my party's in charge, I'm going to beat these people overhead with a baseball bat of my party. And then the next time that the other party's in charge, they're going to beat the other people over the head with a baseball bat. It doesn't bode well for, and this is all common sense stuff, but it doesn't bode well for cohesion in the country, like an identity of any kind. And seems to me, could be by design, who knows? But I'll tell you, it's hard to find, I like to find common ground with people. But how do you find common ground if, let's say, for instance, you worked your butt off, you worked your fingers to the bone to pay your way through college, and now the government is basically spitting on that effort by making you pay for other people to go to college if they forgive college loans. That's a hard one to get past when it comes to middle ground. That's essentially a spit in the face to anyone who has worked extremely hard to pay their way through college. The same goes for immigration. If we are not a country that has a rule of law, and we can debate about what those are, but if they constantly are changing based off political preference and convenience, then we have no standards. And I'm trying to, that should be an apolitical statement, is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of this has huge repercussions on economics because economics relies on predictability, and human beings rely on predictability. And a lot of people think about saving, they're thinking about their future being better than the present. And if the future is never certain economically because people are making political decisions with people's lives and their economic well-being, and we don't have a rule of law, then ultimately we don't have the foundation, which is safety. People don't feel safe in that what they do, good things will come to them if they work hard. You know what I mean? I mean, it's, it's kind of sad. But the leaking of Roe v. Wade, the way people are, or the overturning of it, the way people are reacting to that, the potential of forgiving student loans, which I think will be pretty big in and around the midterm, it feels like you're intentionally dividing people. And the people that paid off their loans played by a set of rules, and now you're changing the rules on them. And your job really as a government is to protect people's rights And if you're constantly changing the rules based off your political preference, obviously that's going to have some dire consequences. So that's what the thing I think people need to agree on is where's the common ground. But what happens if you have people that don't want to agree? That's what I'm wondering. Now, what about people that absolutely there's no common ground? It's my way or the highway. How do you convince those people? Some people don't want to be convinced, but kind of sad. Another, speaking of divisive issues, kind of thought experiment / go down this rabbit hole. If you were a world power who was trying to gain power and dominance around the world, and let's say you're an energy producer, it would really help you as an energy producer for other people to cut down on their production of energy. Competition is not good. So you want to be the only game in town, and you have a massive bargaining chip. You're holding pocket aces because people need energy regardless. So what about the possibility, and just a thought experiment, that Russia is actually pushing, and I'm not making a anti-global warming or pro-global warming statement here, but what if Russia, because we are always talking about Russian disinformation, wouldn't it be advantageous for them to push the green energy movement in Europe and the United States? Because those are all they're playing really stupid games, and at the end of the day, they can be a talking head on TV and say green energy, green energy, green energy, but we live on the same planet. So if they're producing the same amount of natural gas and oil that the world needs, but now they're the only producer, this is obvious stuff. It's still being produced on the same globe, number one, and now you have to transport it over the ocean. But the biggest thing is they have all the cards. So, gosh, really dumb. And on that note, I saw an article on The Hedge today. Berlin, Germany, and Belgium are looking to potentially nationalize their energy production. Now, over time, or history has said this is a horrible idea. If you've ever worked for the government before, you know that they pay people to dig holes and fill them back in. It is not an efficient organization, and that's the nature of government. What would happen if a government was in charge of production of something that people need every day? So I'm looking, my prediction is you're going to see as the fiat system and all these chickens come home to roost of these stupid decisions that politicians have made around the world, and the reliance on totalitarian governments and let's just say not good people around the world, China and Russia. There's a lot of first world governments in the West that are reliant on them. Reliant, as in they cannot operate without them. And so they've made these decisions, and this has been over decades. But as the system starts to fall apart, government's solution in a lot of these countries, in my opinion, is going to be more government control, which will make the problem worse. So how do we reach out to the other side? How do we fix this? First and foremost, I think you have to enforce the rule of law. That goes for politicians, people that are rich, and I think, at least in my opinion, I've seen in the last couple of years, it's different strokes for different folks, or as we say in the military, different spanks for different ranks. So you can't have a cohesive country that trusts in the system if the system fails them every day. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Another rant today. But see you in the next one. Peace.